kids also have the chance, but it's also up to their families, of course, to follow other kind of classes or to follow their artistic wishes, so to say, since the very beginning. And that's how normally kids discover if art is something that they want to do.
At what age do you think we can discover that this child is talented?
I have no, actually, I don't know how to answer to this question. I have no idea. In my experience, I see many creative kids and talented kids as well. Then I think art, it's a matter of talent, of course, but also a matter of a strong desire and also of discipline. So many kids are probably talented, but only few of them will really decide to engage into the arts in their life.
Mm-hmm. Right. Before we continue, I would like just to remind our viewers that we have a Facebook page. If they would like to send us their questions or suggestions, it's Today's Youth Facebook page. Right, and talking about the festival, how did this festival being sustained for 40, it's been there for 40 years, being held annually, right? Yes. How did it sustain its efforts all these years?
Yes, the festival exists thanks to the support of some public bodies and public institutions, like first of all the city of Sant'Arcangelo, actually, and then the region, the ministry, and lately also European funds that are really helping the festival to survive and to go on producing and presenting art every year. But it also exists thanks to the support, not the financial, but let's say the cultural support of many artists who really love this festival and feel committed to that. So the artists have also been very generous with the festival. Some important artists have been directing the festival for a while. Mm-hmm. And it also exists thanks to the audience and the citizens, I would say, because the citizens of the little town of Sant'Arcangelo immediately welcomed the festival, even if, of course, it's also problematic to host such an event in a small town. And they are still supporting it, and they are very curious and demanding also.
Mm-hmm. So the Italians are by nature into arts. They love arts, right? Because they're supporting such a big festival for years now, and they are. You've just mentioned they are encouraging it.
Yes, the audience is encouraging the festival very much. Mm-hmm. And
what about the government? How does the government support such festivals?
But you know, the government has funds for arts and culture, and we have a fund for performing arts.
So it's supported by the government financially.
Also, right? Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. We have public funds for arts and culture. Actually, a lot of funds go normally to more traditional experiences or institutions. Of course, in Italy, we also have a great experience with opera that obviously is also a very expensive form of art. Yet, also contemporary festivals are supported by the ministry as well, but also by the regional governments, which is extremely important in Italy when it comes to art and culture especially, and by the city, which is a very important partner and really a sparring partner who is also experimenting with us a lot about art. Mm-hmm.
Do you receive tourists from other countries to attend this festival? They come specifically to attend this festival?
Some. I mean, we don't have huge masses of people who move for the festival. As, for example, you can see in Avignon festival in France, where really you see thousands of people traveling to France specifically.
They travel
for the
specifically for a festival.
Yes, in Sant'Arcangelo we have some people visiting us specifically every year, and we also have a lot of tourists who are just visiting the coast in summertime and who also come and join the festival.
Mm-hmm. Right. After so many years, how did the festival develop to cope with the continuous changes, whether on the social or political scene in Italy?
Yes. I would say that the festival could develop because it kept some questions open and tried to rethink about itself regularly. You know, Sant'Arcangelo Festival has a kind of subtitle, which is International Festival of Theater in the Piazza. Piazza is literally the square, but you know, the Italian piazza is the meeting point, and is also the political dimension symbolically, quite a lot. And at the beginning, of course, the festival was founded in relation to a very specific idea of political theater in the space of the piazza. But of course, both these concepts, the piazza and the theater, changed a lot in the last decades. And I think Sant'Arcangelo could keep going on and develop, because it kept working around this question as an open question, as a question that actually has no answer, but that invites us to investigate about the relationship between theater and the society and the piazza as political dimension.
Right. How does Sant'Arcangelo Festival, you think, contribute to having tourists in Italy?
Well, I think
having more tourists. I mean, how can such festivals help in receiving more tourists to a country like Italy?
I think such kind of festivals are important because they propose contemporary art and contemporary culture, meaning that they also offer the possibility to citizens and visitors and tourists as well to encounter something and to also to witness.
So maybe whoever is interested in contemporary art will ask about the timing of the festival and will arrange to visit Italy during the festival time.
For sure, and already many professionals and people interested in art from abroad regularly come to Sant'Arcangelo, as I normally travel, and many people in the arts normally travel all around.
Right. How do you promote this festival around the world?
Actually, our communication is a kind of double communication. On one end, we have a strong offline communication, and that helps us to stay connected to the local context, which is quite important. We do the festival with and for local citizens, first of all. And secondly, of course, we have the online communication, which is also bilingual and which is also addressed to possible visitors and spectators all over the world. And obviously, we have a website and a newsletter, and we use the social media like a Facebook page and a Vimeo channel for videos and so on. But basically, people from abroad come to Sant'Arcangelo first when they are very much interested into the program, and that's why we have a mailing list of artists and performing arts curators and journalists, for example, who regularly receive information about the festival and normally come visit us because they want to discover more about the Italian scene.
Right, Sylvia, I think we have a lot to discuss more on this issue, and we will continue our discussion in another episode just due to the time of our episode. I would like to thank you, Silvia Botiroli, Italian director, and we're going to meet with you another time to continue our discussion. Many thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Dear viewers, with this we come to the end of this episode of Today's Youth. Don't forget to stay with us for another the coming up episode, where we will be continuing our discussion this time. A very warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and today we will be continuing our discussion with our dear guest from Italy, Director Silvia Bottirolli. Thank you for joining us today, Silvia, and we will be continuing our discussion that we started last time on Italian Arts Festival right after this short break. The European Union National Institute presented a series of talks on festivals and art events in Europe with the aim of sharing European expertise in festivals and a chance for cultural exchange between both Egypt and Italy. The festival that we will be focusing on is the Sant'Arcangelo Festival, which is a big art festival held annually in Italy. The festival's first edition was in 1971, and its aim was usually emphasizing the importance of art theater on the social and political level. Welcome back, and continuing our discussion from last time about Italian art and the Italian big festival Sant'Arcangelo. Silvia, I would like you to tell me about your perception about Egypt before coming to Egypt. I mean, this is your first visit to Egypt, right?
Yes.
Beside the usual pyramids and the camels, and what other perception did you have about Egypt before coming?
Yes, I had a perception of a very complicated and contradictory country, very rich in culture and art, and that's something that I can feel like confirming after a few days here. That is, it's probably a very complex place, but extremely vibrant, really, artistically and culturally. And yes, a very contradictory and complex place.
I would like to know from your point of view as an artist.
Yes, I don't know very much the artistic scene here, and that's also one of the reasons of my journey, actually, that there are places where you really have to travel to and to meet people in order to better understand what's happening there under the surface of maybe of the few names or of the few artworks that you can also know very easily from abroad. So let's say I have the feeling of an unknown country, and actually it is still unknown to me. I have the feeling that there is a cultural and artistic life that I would need time in order to discover venues and artists and programs.
Right. What are the motives of the cultural program that you are taking part at currently in Egypt?
What are the
motives? Tell me
motives.
About the goals, the motives, the objectives of this program.
Sure. The aim is to put in touch European artistic directors and organizers, to put them in, to create a platform and, let's say, a meeting and exchange point between them and the local scene in Cairo, and hopefully to also create a space and a platform where new networks or collaborations might also start.
Right. What do you see as common factors between Egypt and Italy on the cultural level?
I would say, first of all, that both these countries live and have to deal with an amazing cultural heritage, and with an independent and contemporary scene that is probably very present in both the countries, and perhaps under-supported in both these countries, I would say.
Right. What is the most significant about the Italian theatrical experience that we could copy or adapt here in Egypt?
I think that's very hard to think to copy or to export or import something about an artistic experience, but of course that we can learn a lot from each other. I would say that a very important factor in Italian theater is that there are so many independent artists who along the years have also created venues and contexts and festivals and programs, so creating a whole new scene. I think this is something, I mean, a kind of self-organization of artists and how they can also then get in touch with art institution and also be recognized and supported. I think that's something that I could see happening in Italy in the last few decades, and that maybe could also be a way in which Egyptian artists can also develop new forms and new art organizations.
Right. Language was always kind of a barrier to Egyptians to follow different cultural events, of course, that are not in Arabic speaking or even English speaking, which is more well known to Egyptians than Italian language, for example. How can we pass this barrier? How can we overcome this as a barrier?
Yes. This is a big question, especially for an artistic director of a festival, because that's a question that I have to face every time I invite foreign artists in Sant'Arcangelo as well. We have the same situation in Italy. I mean, most of the people speak at least a little bit of English, but of course we don't speak easily other languages. When it comes to theater, of course, one very practical tool is the possibility to make subtitles for performances, which is extremely helpful, I think, because it allows the spectators to still listen to the original language and also to appreciate it, especially when it's so different and has a musicality, but also to understand it. On the other hand, I would say that I think we don't have to be too fearful about misunderstandings or gaps that always exist when we encounter something that we don't know. And for sure, every time we present an artist from abroad, the possibility of the misunderstanding is there, also because not only because of the language, but because culturally there are gaps. And I think these gaps can be extremely productive.
Do you think that Mediterranean countries share a lot of similarities that reflect on their arts, on their artistic culture, and even their maybe attitude and mentality? Yes,
I feel so and think so. Also traveling a little bit in the Mediterranean area, that's a feeling that I have. I would say that what we share is that all of these countries are countries where we experience cohabitation, meaning that we live next to people that are different from us. In all these countries there are diverse citizens, diverse kind of people, of religions, of cultures as well. So I would say that a certain attitude to cohabitation and also to cultural and social exchange with others and to live within a diversity is maybe something